This is a video for Earth Day. I'm going to be talking about a history of war and the environment. My name is Dr. Larry Taylor, and I think I have something to say about Earth Day with my experiences in life. In America, the day before Pearl Harbor, we were making consumer products. And from one day to the next, we had to start the war machine. So we converted our industry for the war machine to make planes, warships, tanks, weapons, all fueled by petroleum. Where was World War II fought by Germany? Mostly on the Eastern Front with almost 200 divisions. On the Western Front, there was a minimum of 27 to a maximum of almost 80. Who won World War II? The Soviet Union. But they paid a heavy price. They suffered 26 million deaths, almost 15% of their population. Who profited from World War II? The Allied military-industrial complex by recruiting the best of Germany's fighters and starting the Cold War, the Dulles brothers, and the banks. What was World War II Part 2? Well, that's been the U.S. military, the CIA, NATO. They've had over 180 interventions in foreign countries. Let's fast forward to 1970. You all remember that. That was the American War. That's what the Vietnamese, they paid the heaviest price, and that's what they call it, so it's the American War. I missed going there by 6 months. My generation was sacrificed for that war. At home, we had fire on the river. There's the Cuyahoga River in Cleveland that caught on fire many times, a river catching on fire. So we'd had enough. We decided to have an Earth Day. On April 22nd, 1970, it would have been great if I could have said 50 years ago. It was 49 years ago. I was 13 years old. Our school director said we couldn't protest. Doesn't that sound familiar? We protested anyway and combined it with an anti-war protest. What did we accomplish? We eventually won one battle against the military-industrial complex. They put in place the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. But honestly, we didn't accomplish anything. The Cold War continued. Fossil fuels kept being burned. We left the battle for our children and grandchildren. What did I do after? I worked on surveying teams in Wyoming in the energy sector, a lot in the energy sector. I laid stakes to the Black Thunder coal mine, the largest in the world until Adani. I was in Exxon headquarters in Denver in '77. The Powder River Basin, I didn't see it because I was laying it out, but 10 years later, they were seeing small traces on satellite maps, and when it closed, it left a mighty scar on the land. And this is a photo from the Black Thunder mine, and you can see what coal mines do to the land. In Exxon headquarters, they had just produced a climate study. They saw that CO2 was rising due to fossil fuels. They saw it was a problem, and they hid the study. I went to the University of Wyoming, the engineering school, and the control of nature is won, not given. That's not really, you don't control nature, nature controls us. I had friends in the petroleum engineering department in 1980. They were talking about peak oil. That was the topic of the day. But they were also talking alternate sources when we couldn't have the large quantities of petrol. So they had fracking and tar sands. But they thought that we would be never putting that in place because it was too stupid. They thought it was too costly. Energetically, environmentally, they thought that we would never do it. And we're doing it now. This is a fracking site not far from where I grew up. And these are bitumen from the tar sands, tar. And I've never seen clouds like that. My cousin worked at the climate science department, and I had a lot of discussions with friends in his department already 40 years ago, where we discussed greenhouse gases, their effects. He later went on to work for NOAA. Let's fast forward to 2010. The International Energy Association and the OECD countries, they decided that we're going to move to electrical cars, and they wanted to have a nice network for charging electric cars. They wanted to have 1 million chargers for Germany and France by 2015. 40% of the vehicles would be electric by 2017. Today, in both countries, there's less than 14,000 chargers. Less than 2% of the vehicles are electric. Only Norway has 50% electrical vehicles today. But aren't we already starting to go electric? No, That's the lies that they're giving us. We'll only have enough batteries for 4% of our vehicle fleet to be electric by 2023. The solution, the Paris Accords, they say we have to keep it in the ground. We have to keep the petrol and the fossil fuels in the ground. We have to stop burning them. But the loyal lobby is scared of electrical vehicles because they think they won't be selling fuel. So they've been encouraging the industry to invest more in plastic. And 53% of all plastic can be traced back to Nestle for our food. And as you can see, this is the level where we're at now, and they want to go to this level. They want to bury us in plastic. They're going to kill us with the plastic. And the climate, where are we today? We're between the 4th and the 7th lowest totals for the Arctic sea ice extent. But last fall, we had 2 minimum sea ice extents, one on September 15th, which was normal, but another on September 23rd. And then starting in Christmas, there is never a temperature below minus 40 degrees centigrade in the Arctic or in Greenland, even in altitude. So what happened? We're between the 4th and the 7th lowest levels for the Arctic sea ice. And in April, we went off the charts. And I'd like to thank Zach Labe for the charts that he's been providing and for the warnings that he's been trying to get out. I call this the Swiss cheese effect. They're measuring rotten sea ice, which was already melting, fissured. You never buy Swiss cheese by the volume. We're in a climate emergency. Let's take this as seriously as we did in World War II. The Windyday concept, we can't rely on China to produce everything for us because it requires shipping. We need to build factories locally. We need to train young people to install solar panels, build and repair electrical vehicles, and convert thermic vehicles to electrical vehicles. We should have worker co-op factories in all the cities, on all the continents, to build batteries, solar panels, wind and tidal turbines, tiny homes where they're needed, and also yellow vests and pitchforks. We have to have local farms until we can electrify our transportation. We have to change our food chain. Bye-bye Nestle. We need to plant hemp and bamboo that'll help to detoxify the soil. We establish the microfilamentous network in the soil. It helps to replace plastic, and it's 7 times better as a CO2 trap than trees. So let's get to work. Thanks. My name is Larry Taylor. I'm with Windyday, and we're proud sponsors of the Baffin Bay Big Surf Wave Contest, August 2019. You can buy t-shirts, yellow vests, sweatshirts with that just down below. Thank you very much.